My PSGL division was disbanded halfway through the season, but why? Previously, I had qualified for PSGL to sate my hunger for competition. However, as quickly as that adventure begun, it was over all too quickly. What was my first season in the PSGL like? And what led to the untimely demise of the F7 division? It is the first race of the season, and everybody is excited to get this race underway. This is an opportunity to prove that they are worthy to be in this league. Off the line, it's going to be a fantastic start. And just like that, my race was over. I had no choice but to box and change my front wing. And in any competitive league racing, that is pretty much game over. Now little did we know at the time, the hards were hot garbage, and I was losing 3/10 a lap to the car in front. Now, I still managed to gain a few positions back by capitalizing on other people's mistakes, but this is far from the race that I had in mind. Crossing the line, it's only gonna be P10, and I was not happy.
Far from the result I expected going into the opening round, I need to come back stronger the following week.
Fun fact, Miami used to be one of my worst tracks, but out of pure stubbornness, I practiced and practiced and got faster on it. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to.
We need this lap, Kai. Push, push. Beautiful. Bring it home now. Nice, at least you got it.
I was confident in my pace, so I opted to start on the hard tires. It was only a matter of time before they would become faster than the mediums. Lap after lap, I was making steady progress, showing everybody else who is it exactly that they're dealing with. Soon enough, I've reclaimed all the positions I've lost on the opening laps, and even managed to gain one. And I opted to stay out one extra lap compared to the other hard runner that was with me. But on lap 17, it was time to go in and bolt on the fresh mediums. It was time to go hunting. Compared to the fresh mediums, the hards were just no competition. Look at the grip difference and the speed difference down the straight. And soon enough, I was on the next car's gearbox, and the next one.
You are currently the fastest man on track.
And let me tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than to hear that from your own race engineer. I felt like Jarno Opmeer slicing through the field when he did that two-stop in WOR.
You are faster by around a second a lap though, on the last lap.
Onto the last lap now. Unfortunately, I did not manage to shake him from my DRS. This means I am going to be at great risk down the final straight. I'm gonna try to hold on to this position because that's what we do. This final exit is gonna be so crucial. Overtake on. That's the maximum amount of horsepower available. And he's gaining. We're getting closer to the braking zone. Like, bro, really? I'm right there.
Idiot.
Now, I didn't blur out this person's name in the video, so don't go ahead and give them any hate, because I think incidents like this will happen when hard racing is involved. But it is in everybody's best interest to learn, to grow, and to evolve from it, not only as a driver, but also as a person. Granted, I was pretty angry in the moment, but in the end, after penalties, I managed to get my P2 back, and I was more than happy with the results.
I struggled quite a bit in the first few laps, but after just a couple of laps, I managed to get back into the groove. getting more and more comfortable with the car, getting closer to the leading group, that's when disaster struck.
Okay, clear. Mate, what's the point of me setting you an objective if you just absolutely miss it?
Gee, thanks, Mark. This was probably the most chaotic race I've had in PSGL so far. It was an absolute bloodbath out there. Incidents were happening left and right. I had never seen this many safety cars in a PSGL race before. And it all comes down to a last lap shootout. Going into the final sector of the final lap, I'm in P7. There's a lot of people with penalties in front of me, but there's a huge bunch up and I get damage. Doesn't matter, all I have to do is bring the car across the line and hopefully gain a few positions from penalties. But I get pushed wide and I get a 3-second penalty and I lose one more position. What the hell, man? Come on, man. Get up. It's time to get to work. By starting on the softer compounded tires, I managed to inch ahead against P3 and move up a position, but it will only be a matter of time before his hards would fire up, because with the rate that we were pushing, the mediums would only last a couple of laps at most. On lap 6, I'm already struggling. He's right on my gearbox. I'm trying to defend, hold on to the position, but I know it will only be a matter of time before he gets past. It was a no-brainer to get rid of these mediums and move on to the hards. On lap 10, it was already time to head in and put on the fresh hards that would go all the way to the end of the race. And now my goal was to stay ahead with the leaders and move past the traffic, the old hard runners that were still on track that had yet to pit. The grip difference is just unmatched. As it stands, I'm currently in a net P3. Correction. As it stands, I'm currently in a net P2. As long as I can stay with the cars in front of me. Lap after lap, I was on the verge of falling out of DRS, but I managed to hold on. And on lap 25, if we finish as it stands, I could end with a P2, or maybe even challenge for the win. Tragedy strikes right as we get past the pit entry, and this was horrible for my race. As the leader and I drive past the pit, we get picked up by the safety car. What an unlucky timing. This means everybody behind us got the chance to pit, and we had to drive an entire lap behind the safety car before we get the chance to pit. And by that time, I would come out in P9. It doesn't matter, we fight on. There's still quite a few laps to go before the end of the race, and there's still time to make up positions. I knew I had better raw pace compared to quite a few people on the grid, but Hungary is just such a hard track to overtake on, and we were running out of time. On lap 29, I go for a daring move around the outside, and who is gonna back out? Not me. We both take that corner side by side. Somehow we survive, and I move up to P7. At this point, people who opted for the softs after the safety car were dropping like flies. We move up another position. And as we move on to the last lap of the race, this is it. I go for a huge send. There's no time for caution, and we left room on the outside. As you come across the line, however, it is only gonna be P5. It is a damn shame. What could have been a P2 ended up being a disappointing P5. I could have just chalked it up to bad luck and say it was out of my control and there's nothing I could have done. But I would only be half right, because I think it's your responsibility as a driver to look back and reflect on what you could have done differently, because that is how you will mature as a driver, but also as a person. One thing you might have noticed is that we never had a full grid. At most, we would have 13 drivers on the grid, and that was on a good day. So you could probably see where this is going. Not even 2 days after the Hungarian GP,
F7 was no more. Some of us were moved to F6 and some of us were moved to F8. And F8 is where I ended up for the remainder of the season. Now I hope you enjoyed the story of my misfortunes in F7. I'm also going to be making a video about my stay in F8, so subscribe so you don't miss out. In the meantime, this is Formula Kai signing off, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.